Hey everyone, welcome back to DIY Beauty on Purpose. My name is Dyanne and I'm so glad that you are here with me today.
Oh, so much farmhouse inspiration for you today, all made with real wood, all made to look great together, as I said, on a mantle. Let's get started.
Okay friends, so we're back here in my garage. You know that I like to bring you in my garage every so often. So I want to make a box, a wooden box, and I'm going to use one of these 1x3s. And it's not going to be a huge box in the sense of like thickness, but it's going to be kind of long. I want it to be about, I don't know, maybe about 15, 18 inches long. We'll see.
Alright, so I am using my miter saw and I am going to just make the few cuts and then I'll take it inside and put everything together. I want these boards to look very distressed and have a very farmhouse look, so I am using my meat tenderizer to just make some dents and give it an imperfect look that I love. And you can use whatever you want to create a distressed look. It doesn't have to be the meat tenderizer, that's just what I thought of. Now I'm going to take my palm sander and I'm just going to start smoothing out some of the edges and just sand overall. Now I want imperfections, but I do not want splinters, so I want to make sure that all the edges and splinters are smooth. Now I'm going to take some wood glue and I'm going to spread it in on the sides and I'm going to start joining each board together to create a box. So I am using my Ryobi brad nailer with 1-inch nails, there you go, and I'm just going to place them along the edge, and I'm going to do that on all three boards for the bottom and the side, as well as the two smaller ones for each end. If you are enjoying this video today, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. A thumbs up helps this video reach more people and it helps my channel grow. And I also have a new feature where you can give me a thanks. This is a super thanks. It is directly next to the thumbs up little icon. So if you are really enjoying it and you want to support my channel even more, I would truly appreciate one. Now it's time to stain the box. I am using Vermilion Golden Oak, and you can do multiple coats. I was okay with just one coat. Now can you see the distress marks from my meat tenderizer? I love the way that looks. It actually looks like it's just been around and it's been banged up a little bit here and there. So once I have a stain, it's time to start placing some greenery inside. I do want these greenery to stay put, so I'm going to use some Dollar Tree floral foam. I'm just going to cut about maybe 3/4 of an inch thick pieces, and I'm just going to place them on the bottom of the box. And then once I have the foam, I am going to start adding some greenery. This is actually rosemary picks that I recently got from my mother-in-law on my birthday. She got me all this greenery, all these flowers. Does she not know me or what? I love my mother-in-law. She got me all kinds of greenery picks and I couldn't be happier. So I'm going to take several of these and I'm going to cut the stem and I'm just going to push them in and place them where I see fit. And then we'll be done with this one. I love this one. As a matter of fact, I kept it. It's up in my own living room mantle and I could not be happier with the way it looks. I did add some moss to the base just to hide a little bit of that foam, but overall I think it's stunning.
Okay, we're back in my garage and it's a mess, guys. It's a mess. I'm looking for one of these 4x4s. Let me grab this one. We have several from like years ago and they're a mess, but I like a mess. I'm gonna make cubes, so I want something that's square, so this is perfect. And I'm gonna cut them into equal sizes, so I want this to be a real true square. So I'm gonna even this out, just cut a little bit here because right now it's at an angle, and then I'm gonna cut 2 of them and you'll see what I make.
All right, we're back inside and now I'm going to start marking. I'm going to make some very farmhouse style dice. I've done these before, but I haven't done them in a while, and this is going to be a very different from what I did before. So I'm just going to start marking all the little dots where I want to drill holes so that they look like dice. I'm going to be using a very thick drill bit. Now, if I had had a thicker one, I think it would have been way better. But this is the thickest one I had on hand. Instead, I didn't want to use the spade blade, so I just wanted to stick with the drill bit. So I'm just going to start drilling. I'm only going about 1/8 of an inch. That's it. But that's all I'm going to be doing on all sides of both dies. While I do that, I want to tell you about my friends Dyanne and Jany from Deco Easy. This video is in collaboration with them. I love them. They're so sweet. They're so talented. And their channel is filled with tons of DIY, home decor. And we're both bringing you, all of us are bringing you some farmhouse inspiration. So at the end of this video, go ahead and check out their channel. I have a link down below in my description box. As you can see here, I am just going to sand down every side. 2 things: to remove any splinter left over from the drilling, as well as just clean it up a little bit and reveal that beautiful lighter tone, wood tone that I just love. I decided to lighten up each hole so they stand up a little bit more. So I'm just going to dab a little bit of chalk paint. This is Vermilion chalk paint in the linen white. I'm just going to dab a little bit in each hole. Now, afterwards, I did sand down even more because I wasn't perfect on dabbing the paint, so I got some on the outside of the holes. So I wanted to sand down, and some of the wood chips that from this, like the dust from the sanding, got into the holes and actually darkened each hole. Now, that being said, I didn't mind it. I love that it is a little bit more toned down. It's just very muted. That white just brightens it up just a little bit. So I decided to leave it as is instead of adding more paint. That was just my decision. If you're going to recreate something like this, you can certainly brighten them up even more if you'd like. But this is what it turned out. I think they look beautiful. They're so rustic, farmhouse look. I love that they're so inexpensive. Well, free, but they're just so easy to make, and I think anyone would love making them. For the next DIY farmhouse decor, I am going to do a super easy one. This is a piece of leftover scrap 2x8 that I had already. I had used as a decor riser at some point, just to put some decor on top. But I'm going to use it today for a really farmhouse sign. I cut out this phrase, this word, hi, with my Cricut, and it's with a stencil vinyl that I have. I do have it on my Amazon store, but I'm going to use it as a reverse stencil. What that is you actually use the word as the stencil instead of the cutout of the word as a stencil. So I place it in the center, and now I'm just going to dab some Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and instead of brushing it, I'm dabbing it because it just avoids bleed through, just like you would with any other regular traditional stencil. That being said, I have this actual stencil in my Etsy shop, so if you have not visited my Etsy shop, I do have it linked down below in the description box. Check it out. It's really inexpensive, but if you would like to try it, you can actually get it as a traditional stencil cutout, as a reverse stencil like this one, or actually as a decal or a white decal or black decal that you can use for your own decor. So check it out. It is linked down below. So I'm just going to dab it. I gave it a couple of coats on top, and now I'm just going to remove the stencil, and this is where the reverse stencil reveals. So now you have that wood tone show through beautifully. Now if I would have painted, let's say, the base of the wood black, then it would have just revealed black. Does that make sense? So now I'm just going to clean it up just a little bit. Now, I've never looked for perfection. I've always said that. But in this case, it was just kind of bugging me a little bit because everything else was so crisp. So I cleaned it up just a little bit, dried it up with my heat gun. And now I'm going to distress the edges using my electric sander once again, just to give it a little bit more of a farmhouse look. I think this one's one of my favorites from today. It's so easy. Anyone can truly do it. And it's already up on my mantle. And I just love the way it turned out.
You as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile.
For the next DIY farmhouse decor, I am going to start with this quick setting joint compound. This is what you use on like drywall. I have some that my husband gave me several months ago. I already did a DIY with it, and I just decided to do another one, and I still have leftover, so it's awesome to have. I'm going to keep adding compound until I have a texture that is very thick. I mean like thick where you can throw it on the wall and it'll stay there. Probably the same thickness you would use for drywall. Maybe. I don't know. But once I had it to the consistency that I wanted, I'm going to take a board that I purchased at Habitat for Humanity. It was very inexpensive. I mean like a couple of bucks. It's pretty large too. And I'm just going to give it a good wipe with a wet rag. And then I am going to start applying the compound with a chippy brush. I am using a chippy brush because I am going to throw it away afterwards. I'm not even going to worry about cleaning it up. That's why I have these chippy brushes. They're very inexpensive. You can use them and reuse them, or you can use them and throw them away if something on it is too thick, like this joint compound. So I'm just going to start spreading it, and I'm going to dab it instead of brushing it. I'm going to dab it because I want a lot of texture, and I don't even know what I'm doing right here. I'm just going with my instincts. I'm just dabbing the compound all around the edges, right down the middle, and then just following my instincts of what I think I want it to look. And it looks kind of messy right now, but I'll show you what it's going to look like. I'm going to show you a little bit of a close-up here. So once I have it dabbed, I'm going to show you. So when I dab it, see you have all those little spikes? I don't want that. So I want texture, but I don't want spikes. So once I have it applied, then I'm just going to very lightly, I'm not doing any pressure on my brush. I'm just fanning it or swiping it very lightly on top, just to kind of bring down all those ridges and just give it a little bit more of a flat look. So that's what I'm doing here. I wanted to give you a close-up because I know sometimes from the top you can't see those details. So I'm just going to brush them lightly, and this is what it's starting to look. I absolutely love the texture. I think it's so just textured. What else can I say, right? Now, it took about 2 hours to dry. In some little areas took a little longer, but it's okay to paint over. So that's why I'm going to start painting. I'm going to use, once again, Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white and my chalk brush. Now, speaking of my chalk brush, I do have some on my Amazon store. I love using chalk brushes. They hold a lot of paint. They leave very minimal brush strokes, and I just love using them. So if you've never used them, check it out. It is linked down below in the description box, along with many of my favorite products from Amazon. So I'm just going to give this, I gave it, let's see, 2.5 coats. So 2 full coats and then a half coat just wherever it needed it. On the parts where it's very textured, I did dab instead of brush so that I can get in between all the little ridges. For the second coat, I just kept painting it, and as you can see, the brush strokes that I am doing is in all directions, just to make sure everything is filled and just a lot of texture. I don't mind using that technique. It just helps add even more texture to the piece. I am now going to use my Varathane polyurethane in the crystal clear, and I'm just going to brush it on pretty heavily and let it dry. Because I am going to be distressing and adding a little bit of antiquing wax to it, I'm going to be using Rust-Oleum glaze. I do want to make sure that my paint, because chalk paint is so porous, it'll absorb everything. I want to make sure I'll be able to wipe it off the excess. All right, so
Not surprised, but I'm not happy that it's yellowing right here and right there. And that happens quite a bit when you have an old piece of wood that may be just old. And if you paint it white, then when you apply the top coat, it kind of yellows. So it's not the paint fault, it's actually the piece of wood. What I should have done is sanded it down and cleaned it a lot better. And I didn't. I just thought maybe wiping it would be sufficient. So live and learn. But I'm going to leave it like that. You can see a lot of yellowing there. But I'm going to leave it like that because I want to just stress it a little bit to look a little bit more farmhouse. And then I'm going to just paint more white. So that hopefully will fix it. So we shall see.
As mentioned earlier, I am going to use the Rust-Oleum glaze in the brown tone. And I'm just going to use a rag. I'm going to start just placing it. At this point, I'm kind of like, what am I doing here? But it's okay because everything always, hey, what's the worst that can happen? If you mess it up, you paint over it. It's fine. So I'm just going to start placing where I would normally distress. So if I was distressing with a palm sander, I would be distressing the edges, the corners, and anything where it would naturally distress because it was lifted or textured. So that's what I'm just focusing on with the glaze. So I'm just going to place it all around where I think I needed. Now, even though I applied the Varathane, the polyurethane, it did absorb a little bit too much than what I wanted. So I did grab a wet wipe, and started taking some of the excess, and it worked. It did remove some of it, but not as much as I wanted it. Here I am cleaning it up. So I decided to just paint over it. I painted over the yellow part, as I mentioned, but I also just dry brushed over all the edges and all the brown, because right now it just looked dingy and kind of just did not like what it looked like. So I'm just going to keep adding paint and then very dry brush on top of the textured portion to lighten it up, but so that you can still see some of the distress, some of the antiquing wax. To finish it off, I'm going to add 2 sawtooth hooks on the back. This board is very heavy, so I want to make sure it's the ones that you can screw in to the board. And actually, I kept this one as well. It's not on my mantle, but it's on my console table, but it can certainly be used on a mantle, and I absolutely love it. It's beautiful. Now, it looks kind of too white here on the camera, but I'm telling you, when you look at it up close, and I am going to give you a close-up, you can see some of that grunginess, you can see some of that texture, and it is stunning. I love it. Well, my friend, this is it for today. Let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. I would have to still choose the high one, but gosh, it's hard because that box I love and the sign I love, everything. I love everything. But let me know which one's your favorite. Don't forget to visit Jany and Dyanne. It's linked down below. My Etsy shop is linked down below. My Amazon shop is linked down below. Check it out. It is there. If you're visiting for the first time, welcome. I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope you consider joining our YouTube family. And if you are returning, welcome back. I am going to have a playlist here and a video with tons more of farmhouse inspiration for you. Check it out. I'll see you later and have a blessed day. Bye.